Although we've spent like the last 10 minutes faffing about with Jack. You doing all right there, love?
Yeah.
How's everybody doing while Mark prats about? Hey?
Yeah. Say hi.
Happy New Year.
That's it.
2022. Here's to a better year than last year, hey? Oh, do you know what, though?
Wasn't bad, was it?
We had an all right last year, didn't we? Hey, Amanda. Oh, yay. So good to, well, not see you, but it's not living down the road anymore, hey?
Hey, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so we've been in Northern Ireland for coming up to 9 months.
Yep.
It seems like that's gone by in a whirlwind.
It has.
And
We now have a 14-year-old,
yes,
which is...
and we have another dog as well, which is bonkers. Not bonkers, it's really good.
She is bonkers, though.
She is.
Collie.
She is very good fun. Our little collie, Connie the collie. So, yeah, there we go. So, we've come to January and we have started to do more of the fitness and coaching again here in Northern Ireland, which is great. Really excited about that because for me, you can ease back from it a little bit, but it's when you're passionate about something, you want to be able to do that. I am teaching in a school in Belfast, and one of the modules has been related to fitness the last few weeks, so I'm been allowed to extend it, which is great. So passing on that little bit of knowledge and things to the young people, the boys that I work with, which is great. So yeah, it's nice when things interlink and
yeah, it's
you
good.
can kind of pass on things you are passionate about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. Really good. Really good.
I think we just moved here, and you moved to... I mean, essentially, like, you kind of think you're living... I mean, it's all the United Kingdom, Great Britain,
That's
whatever.
That's it.
But actually, you moved to a different country, and there's a lot of change that goes into that. So it's awesome to be able to start doing this stuff again. I mean, we've carried on doing it the whole time, but to really focus on it again, hey?
Yeah, that's it.
So, Mark's just... Louisa's here, so you can just
Oh,
tell
right.
her.
Okay.
He had a technical error. I
Yes.
say he had a technical error because basically his nice, shiny new Android phone wouldn't connect to Facebook Live.
Which, it's been a while since we did one. People might remember morning coffee that we used to do in the very first lockdown in 2020.
But then you would have seen me in my pyjamas with no makeup.
It wasn't very well presented, was it, at times? But
it was real.
It was real. It definitely was.
That's
The
important.
reality of this is 8 o'clock in the morning. This is what it looks like in our house. It wasn't even 8 o'clock. It was 7. Wasn't
7
it?
o'clock.
We just do the workouts
During
at 8.
lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, then the dog would come and jump in, and the cat would wander about.
The
and
cat's
kids
here
would turn
today,
up.
but she's sleeping.
Yeah, she's having a little sleep. So yeah, this is ostensibly slightly better put together.
Other than I'm wearing makeup, nothing else is better put together.
I've put some moisturiser on, maybe that's slightly better. Slightly better. But really, it's a time when we're starting to do things again in the sense of the fitness and coaching, and it ties in with us personally, focusing more on that after moving, settling down, getting the kids into their routines a bit more, working out where things are.
It's really different here.
Yeah, many positive ways, but I take for granted the fact that Morrison's used to be 2 minutes away, and now
As did Sainsbury's, as did Tesco,
Exactly.
as did Asda.
and now
It's like a 20-minute drive,
Yeah.
25-minute drive.
Yeah, so it's just the little things like that that kind of take that time to settle into those new routines. But we're kind of getting there, aren't we? Which is
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah, it's good.
We've kind of set ourselves now to be focusing on our own health and fitness, and that obviously ties in with the start of the year. Sometimes I work in academic years, so just with the routine of going to work, working in a school, that can be quite a good way to then place things around it. You maintain more regular sleeping pattern when you've got to get up for work and things like that, so it's easier to kind of schedule things in.
And all the teachers in England said, "What sleeping pattern?"
Well, that's true. That's true. It's a much more supportive environment here, shall we say, both for the young people.
He doesn't have to work as hard. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Okay. Really, but in a really good way. So it's a really good school system. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to,
Anyone wants to move to Northern Ireland.
They're very welcoming people. We're very, very friendly. It's great. And that's one of our kind of resolutions. Our goals is to have that now back into the routine of our life, to be conscious about eating well and exercising. Through Facebook and things, you'll see I started a boot camp last year to keep my hand in fitness in that sense, and it fits quite nicely.
Yeah, it's been great.
Really, really good. Doing group sessions 6 times a week, 3 mornings, 3 evenings, and that's helped us to get to know people here. There's one lady who comes who seems to pretty much know everyone.
She knows everyone,
in the local
so
area,
it's brilliant.
Which is, she's that. Oh, if you need this, you go to here. If you need a really good florist, you go here. If you need a garage,
really good florist.
Yeah.
All the times Mark buys me fancy flowers.
That's right.
That's what
that's
that is.
right. All the time. So that's been really, really good to kind of feel like part of the community here, and doing that at the rugby club as well, which the rugby clubs in England as well, in my experience of playing and things, are very kind of community focused.
Yeah.
In the sense of it draws a lot of people in right down from little ones all the way up to adults and veterans playing, and people supporting the club.
Veterans, it makes it sound like they're 90.
Well, no, it's over 40.
I know. Well,
so I'd definitely be in that.
Tim,
now,
I'm not quite there yet.
But even more so here, the rugby club here in Ballinhinch is quite a successful club, and they have a walking trail around their pitches. They have the fitness exercise equipment you might see in a park or something like that on their site. They really want people to come and use all their facilities. So that's where I've been having my boot camp, and that again, that's just another way of feeling part of things here.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think things like that are really good though. Just making the most of what is around you.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that they've put that in here. But realistically, so much now, I think more and more we need to be able to use what is around us to keep healthy.
Yeah.
And not everybody feels comfortable always going to the gym anymore, or at the or there's certain times where you've been on close contact or whatever, so you're fine but you can't go to the gym, and learning how to make the most of everything that's around us, I think is really important.
Yeah, totally.
And actually coming off the back end of the last couple of years, which essentially have felt like, I know it hasn't been, but it's felt like one lockdown or one restriction after another. I think a lot of people have, at Christmas, when you have that 2-week period where you basically are just eating and drinking and sleeping.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the lockdown stuff kind of felt a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Like it was easy to slide out of things. And now, for me anyway, I want to make sure that I'm, coming into 2022, not letting what the last couple of years have looked like impact what I'm taking into the new year.
Yeah, I think you're right in the sense of, for me, and I know for a lot of people that are into training, into the gym particularly, having that taken away was almost like that was hard enough in itself, but it was almost like, actually, so what can I do? And I think it has made people who've only kind of always relied on doing one sort of activity, or just be more, in a sense, open-minded about the benefits of just having go for a walk
Just
and
going
things
for a
like
walk,
that.
yeah.
rather than doing a class or whatever might have been in your routine before. It's just thinking about that crossover and how to kind of have that same positive impact on your health and fitness, but not necessarily in the way you've always done it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's interesting that I think that's kind of universal, you know, and there's been obviously a massive growth in things like Peloton and things like that. But I think, you know...
I found that hydro rower the other day.
Yes.
Trying to convince Mark to buy me a hydro rower, but not yet.
Not yet, okay. So it's, I think it's made a lot of people's approach as from the coaching side and the training side have to be a bit more flexible and a bit more, you know, open themselves as well as
open-minded,
being able to help
and balanced
people.
I think.
Yeah.
You know, like we can, I mean obviously personalities, everybody's different, right? But we can, especially coming into a new year, it's like, right, do you know what, tomorrow I'm going to start this brand new thing. I'm going to go at it. I'm so guilty of this. I'm gonna eat exactly perfectly all the time, and I'm gonna work out every single day, and I'm gonna go to every single class the gym has. I'm gonna live at the gym. And actually having a bit more of a balanced approach to it. And do you know what? My health and well-being isn't only what I eat and how I exercise, although they're very important things. But it's also, you know, how do I look after myself? How do I, you know, are my relationships strong? Am I don't know, doing things that put that like spark in me, especially if you've got a job that doesn't really give you that spark. Like it's okay to spend time on yourself. And I think people are more and more learning how important that is.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when, like we were just saying, the kind of things you would have done to get that were kind of taken away.
Yeah, for sure.
And you mentioned as well about it's almost kind of, you can go the other way then, and you're kind of always in that kind of not quite on state, not really taking care of yourself too much.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you know, there's been quite a lot of uncertainty. It was almost, I felt like August, September time, everything's getting back to normal. Everything's, will we see any more restrictions? Oh, probably not, you know. But then it started to come back around. In a sense, it's funny to have that kind of attitude in it, because Northern Ireland's restrictions actually were the least lifted of the 4 parts of the UK, and so therefore they've been least ones to add anything.
Yeah, I guess so.
But that's only because that was more around things that didn't really affect us. You know, Friday,
we just
Friday night clubbing.
We just don't go out as much
yeah,
anymore.
Exactly. You know, that wasn't such a big factor for us. But you know, those things are there, and you know that flexibility of having other activities to do when there's that little element of uncertainty. Yeah. Is I think really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because there's definitely ways to work on eating well, activity, workouts, that the options are there now, or the mindset's there now, that it's actually this 25-30 minute thing at home is going to be as beneficial as the time we used to spend at the gym. Yeah. And that's not to say, you know, which is amazing. Yeah. Actually, like, and from a, you know, a busy mum, well, and a busy dad, I'm not saying he's not busy also, actually to feel like I don't have to spend, you know, 2 hours at the gym. Yeah. But I can do stuff at home. I can do stuff in the lounge or the garage, or, you know, out in the garden when we get some nice weather. Yeah. It's actually really good. Like Mark was able to come home early this evening, which isn't a normal thing, but he was. And so we just went out to the garage and did, what, half an hour? Probably about 40 minutes. Okay, 40 minutes. But to be fair, part of that 40 minutes was blowing up a football. It was, yeah. So that was I'm sticking with half. The hardest bits of it. Getting the pump to work. Speak for yourself. Well, yeah. There we go. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it, you know, realistically, looking at our kind of weekly schedule routine, we could probably train 2 nights a week, and that together. Yeah. Together. And that's probably, in a sense, a good starting point for most people, especially if you're starting from not doing much. You know, say 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah,
committing
and then
to
like
that.
just include some walks, being
Yeah.
more active just in your daily life.
That's
I
it.
think.
You know, most of us keep a phone in a pocket. Most phones now have got step tracker built in.
Oh, babe, I think all phones do.
Someone might
I
have a
know-
Nokia
I
3210
know you're
that they
old.
just keep for prosperity. That might not do it. Or we've got watches and things like that. And you know, I always, in a sense, surprise myself of how quickly, soon in the day, my watch gets to 10,000 steps just when I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And really, I'm in the classroom. I can't go very far. It's what, 10
Just
metres
moving
across.
around.
Just moving around.
Yeah.
And I think that, but I personally, and I think in general, that's always kind of been underestimated. That just that regular activity.
Yeah.
It, on the kind of technical side of it, it's part of your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. And if you can maintain that at a good level and increase it a little bit, you know, that's going to contribute to your weight loss goal. If that's what you've got, it's going to contribute to
But
your
even
health
just
and fitness goal,
yeah,
general
I think
movement,
that's the thing is
just feeling better in yourself.
like your cardiovascular fitness, like how well your internal organs work. Like we don't talk about that much. We talk about like, well, what's your, you know, body composition goals or your weight loss goals. It's really important how well your internal organs work because that's what keeps you alive.
Keeps us going. Totally. Totally. And like with a lot of things, it's easy to overcomplicate it. I know I'm guilty of that all the time. But it is kind of the simple things that have probably the most benefit. You know, like going back to talking about the TDEE, having that regular daily steps, a bit more at the weekend or a bit more on your day off or a bit more as the weather gets better again, that's going to have as much of an impact on if you could go to the gym 5-6 times a week, which in the kind of stage of life we're in, which I call kind of proper adulting, you know, having children and you know all those things that all those responsibilities.
I felt like
now,
a proper adult when I got my big car.
There you go. There you go. Cause
Prior to that, I was just a pretend adult.
Pretend adult, but there you go. So when those responsibilities mount up, it's like responsibilities go up and free time definitely comes way down. So you know, fitting things in a realistic pattern is times at a premium.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like one of the things that I like to do as well going in is, well, I mean any time you can do it, but especially going into a new year is actually sitting down and working out what my goals are. Like what are my goals for the year? And that can be personally, professionally, in any area, but thinking about your health and well-being. My goal might be to just be fitter. My goal might be to lose weight. My goal might be to improve my mental health. And actually, I think at the moment, for a lot of people, a goal that we might not articulate, but a goal would be to stay healthy. And, you know, everybody knows, don't they, that one of the best ways to ward against any illness and infection, you know, is actually to look after your body and to stay healthy. And I think writing down those goals actually helps you put a plan in place that you can achieve. Because how many of us have kind of had New Year's resolutions and then, you know, week 2, the bottle of wine comes out.
That's it.
And actually, when you write down the goals and you make sure that they're achievable and you put a plan in place in order to achieve them, that's realistic. Not my going to the gym 15 times a week goal. But that actually helps you progress. And when you do that, you know, you make those small incremental, like kind of steady improvements. When you've got goals that you're working towards, you can see those improvements and you can kind of, I don't know, be pleased with yourself for those improvements.
No, totally.
Whereas when we don't really have a goal that we're working towards or we haven't put in a plan, it's a lot harder. I think we more easily give up.
Totally. And I think it's what you're saying about it. We set unrealistic expectations of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're very inclined to aim really high, which is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
But that aiming really high, that ideal, is usually the kind of in a perfect day, week, this is what I'll do. But that rarely happens. So it's almost coming down to that is what's realistic. And in a sense, it's looking at what's the kind of minimum that will have the positive impact, and then anything on top of that is a bonus. Simplifying things down to 2-3 workout type activities, that low level continuous activity, 2 or 3 tweaks to nutrition to start you down the line of this is how I'm going to maintain a healthy, sustainable way of eating that does allow for a glass of wine on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Or 2.
A glass. Hear him.
There we go. And I was thinking about this in terms of it's very easy to be overly restrictive when we've got those high aspirations, especially around health and fitness. Well, I'm gonna eat no bread. Well, that's fine until you go to, if you've got quite young kids, this would happen. Not so much for us anymore. But you go and like it's a buffet, and the kids eat 3 sandwiches between 20, and like the mum and dad are desperate. Please, do you want some food?
Oh, like a kid's birthday party.
Gracious. Those little cheese triangle, cheese in a little triangle, quarter of a sandwich.
And all of a sudden you've eaten 10 tiny triangle sandwiches.
Because it was only small in your hand, so that's absolutely fine. But it's fine in itself,
Maybe not 10, but...
No. But then you feel like you failed.
Yeah, that's true.
And, we learn from failure and all that sort of thing. But actually, when we've made a goal and an unrealistic expectation and feel like those little failures keep happening, that's why we toss it out and say, actually, do you know what, I can't achieve this resolution, this goal that I've made. And it's about putting realistic expectations in place on yourself and giving yourself a break if it doesn't go perfectly all the time. I was talking to one yesterday, the 80-20 kind of rule philosophy applies to more than just food. If 70 to 80% of the time you are on track, the other 20 to 30% will
take care of itself.
Take care of itself. Yeah. It's unless it is health critical or something like that.
For sure, that's different.
That's different. Then taking the next 12 months to get close to your goal is better than thinking I want to get there in 4 weeks or whatever.
No, do you know though, like especially as a woman, I think I have seen so many people on forums or Facebook pages or whatever asking questions. I've got a wedding to go to in 4 weeks. How can I drop X amount of pounds? Well, healthily, you can't. And I think that's what we would say going into this new year is actually what we're about and what we try and be more about as we go forward is actually about, okay, so what are my goals? So having a goal, writing it down, because that's really helpful. Putting a plan in place, having achievable, like realistic expectations, and then being kind to yourself. Like Mark talks in terms of 80-20 or 70-30 or whatever, because that's the way his brain works. And I think that's brilliant. But I would say, like, be kind to yourself. One of the ways that you might be kind to yourself is, do you know what? If you went to your mate's house and they served a meal that you weren't planning to eat, wasn't part of your, meal plan, all right, enjoy it. Like, it's fine. And then be kind to yourself. That's fine. And then the next day, carry on as you were. Don't kind of go, oh, well, screw it then. I'll throw it all out the window. And sometimes it's about doing that. And sometimes it's about showing up for yourself and saying, do you know what, I've committed to getting up a little bit earlier so that I can do a workout, or I've committed to not watching that extra episode of whatever it is you watch. I'm
Cobra Kai's back, that's good.
totally binging all through the old seasons of Grey's Anatomy. But maybe being kind to yourself is actually about saying, no, do you know what? I'm going to show up for myself. Yeah. I'm going to do something which I know is going to benefit my health, is going to benefit my life.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about saying, no, do you know what? I'm going to watch Cobra Kai.
Totally.
Balance in all things.
You know, most people enjoy some sort of activity. And rather than kind of feeling that pressure that I'm going to do this activity with the expectation that it is doing this, as in it's going to definitely burn 500, 700 calories. Just enjoy it for what it is, you know, the time that you've got to, you know, raise your core temperature.
Sorry, Dave's just saying that we've got the same wisdom as Russell Brand, which made me happy.
Okay, thanks, Dave. That's really
Sorry,
cool.
I watched him the other day and he's amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, enjoying the activity, the workout, whatever it is, just for what it is, you know. And if something's hard, persevere. If you're doing a movement and you think, actually, I'd rather not do that today, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When me and Mark, before we were even dating, we were training together a bit because he liked me. He wrote me a program. I just didn't do the stuff I didn't like. And then once we were dating, I was like, I never used to do that exercise. It sucked.
There you go. You see, you know, 2 schools of thought. Always enjoy the activity. Another school of thought on the opposite end of the spectrum is find something you're really bad at and get better at it, because then you're definitely progressed. So,
well, yeah,
you know,
that's true.
That's true. You know, so we're putting together, and we have started next Monday, a programme we're calling the Kickstart Challenge, because it's the start of the year. It's an online coaching programme, essentially based around what we've just been talking around, setting some goals and putting together a realistic and sustainable plan for the 8 weeks and beyond. You know, one thing I am quite passionate about and hope that I do is share as much of the principles and fitness kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
Being as upfront and open about it as possible,
Yeah.
in the sense of don't want anything to be a secret and someone to feel like they wish they'd found something out sooner on their journey, because you know, that's pretty demoralising if you go on for quite a long time not doing, you know, not having like just a little piece of the puzzle that would have made the difference to you.
Yeah.
And everyone's different in terms of what knowledge they need. You know, one person you can say do this and they do it. I'm the type of person who will say why? And certainly in health and fitness there are quite a lot of contradictory ideas and information, and it's kind of sifting through that. And another thing I'll say is I'm not always right. You know, I don't think anyone's always right. There's always new stuff happening. There's always, you know, new science or a new study will say something slightly different, and there's a bit of a better way of doing things. But doing things well is better than trying to do everything perfectly and never quite reaching that. Yeah. So that starts next Monday. Information is all over our social media at the moment. You know, you might even be sick of seeing it already, to be fair. And it's also, but the kind of main details are just on the website, which is mwfitness.net. And if you're interested in that, have a look. And there's a little form there to just send your details to register your interest for more information.
I think what I would just like to say, like with that though, so doing the Kickstart Challenge, literally everything that we've just talked about is our heart for ourselves, but also for other people.
Yeah.
And so realistically, the whole kind of point of the Kickstart Challenge, you know, it's called the Kickstart Challenge because it's the new year. But it's not about like, right, how much can I lose in a really short space of time? Or that may be your goal, that's fine. But we want to work with people as individually as we possibly can, don't we? Because everybody is unique, and what you need is different to what so-and-so down the road needs. And the focus for you might be more on your workouts or achieving a certain thing. It might be on just being a little bit more holistic and looking after your whole self. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we work with people where they're at.
Yeah, one person might need time understanding how nutrition works, where somebody else might need more of, this is a really cool set of questions to ask yourself on a Sunday to get into the right mindset for the next week.
Mindset for the week, for sure.
And you know, they're all different tools at different times we've used, and you know, there's other things that we're going to come across that we share with people.
Power on my phone.
Yeah, low power on the phone, so we might have had a little.
It means we've been chatting for too long. That's what that means.
It does. So, thank you for joining us. It's been great to see.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of virtually see people.
Always good to see you as well, Dave. Information.
We'll see you again.
mwfitness.net.
We'll be doing some more of these bad boys.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. All right.
Not back to 7 a.m. morning coffees.
No, got boot camp instead. All right, guys.
Have a great night.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Always Moving Forward podcast. You can find more information about MW Fitness at www.mwfitness.net, and all our links to social media are there too.